the abortion rate is actually higher than the birth rate in New York City.
It's a literal genocide. It's a literal genocide under the definition of United Nations, a literal genocide. Thank you. I had a really productive conversation with the Black Lives Matter chapter at UPenn 2 weeks ago, and it was really amazing because they showed up thinking that I was anti-Black because, I don't know, they read EliteDaily.com or something weird. And I get to speaking and I say, you're focusing on 16 unarmed, or about 16, it's actually decreased since 2016, unarmed Black men that have been shot and killed by police officers. You have a higher chance as a Black person of being struck by lightning. White people, white men and Hispanic men are more likely to be shot and killed by a police officer than any Black man, right? Could you imagine if you refocused your energy on the 17, 18 million Black babies that have been aborted since 1973, the 900 Black babies that are aborted every single day? And I've said this before, and I will say it again. If Black Lives Matter changed their initiative to Black babies, if they changed their initiative to talking about what's happening in New York with 9-month abortions, I would put on a BLM t-shirt tomorrow.
Candace Owens, right? When Candace Owens went in front of Congress and boy, they tried to cross her up, and she calmly and deliberately and eloquently, with a smile on her face, made Jerry Nadler look like the fool that he is. Am I right? And it has just been one of the greatest honors, if not the greatest honor of my life, to be able to tour the country with Candace Owens, to see her go from somebody that wanted to change the sentiment in the Black community to someone who is actually now changing the sentiment in the Black community, who has now honestly become one of the most, if not the most important young voice in America for freedom. So get on your feet and help welcome Candace Owens to the University of Missouri.
Wow, this is fine. Hey guys, this is such an honor. This is my first time in this great state, so I'm super excited to be here, and we are already loving the energy so much. It's been such a blessing, and I know that this campus is due to hear some conservative perspectives. Definitely, right? It is so bizarre to think about my journey and being able to be up here, and the craziest thing is reading about myself and reading the headlines and how viciously I am attacked by the left. This is the left, the Democrat Party, and they claim to care so much about minority voices. They claim to love and champion women when we find the audacity to speak out and say what we believe in, and yet somehow they absolutely detest me. They absolutely detest me, and why is that? Why is that? What am I selling that they're afraid of, right? I speak about real issues that are impacting the Black community, which is why they label me Black somehow. I talk about the illiteracy rates of Black boys, 75% in California. Those are real issues we should be talking about. But no, they want to talk about white supremacy. They want to talk about white nationalism. They want to talk about things that will divide America, and they never want to fix the issues in any community because they stump on division. The only way they can sustain their party is if we are all at war with one another and fighting. And here, we don't believe in that. We believe in patriotism. We are all patriots. We are all a part of this great nation, and we are all Americans.
And Candace, the courage that you showed in front of the House Oversight Committee, Judiciary Committee, was just so unbelievable. And I think I speak for everyone in this room just to say thank you for speaking truth to power at the highest possible level, because I can't remember a time where we have had an advocate on that level and that stage be able to look those left-wingers in the eye and those Democrats and say, you have ruined my community, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And so you very easily could have just, waited in line and played it safe, and you were not in any way disrespectful. They were disrespectful to you, and you punched back twice as hard. So I wanted to say thank you, Candace, for what she has done. It's totally amazing.
Thank you so much. Well, let's talk about some of yeah, absolutely. First, let's introduce my partner in crime in this fight, and we fight every single day to wake up Black Americans and to get them to realize that we are being sold our own oppression by people that never want us to get ahead. There is nothing at the end of victimhood. And I'm so pleased and honored to introduce my brother in this war, Brandon Tatum.
Give it up for Brandon.
Hey, thank you guys. I'm too loud for this thing. Thank you guys. I really appreciate the wonderful reception that we've had. I just want to say to you guys, man, it's our time to step up as Americans and take over this country. That's what it's all about, man.
And so for both Brandon or Candace, just talk about some of the issues that you guys talk about and some of the demagoguery you face because of that. Candace, you touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, so it's pretty much, we know where we're at in America right now, where they're telling people that there's virtue in being a victim. Like, all you should try to do in life is try to figure out how you're a bigger victim than the person next to you. We call that the oppression Olympics. That's what the left loves to play, the game of oppression. And it works a little something like this. Okay, well, you're white and I'm black, therefore I am more oppressed. Now we're two black people. Well, you're a black male and I'm a black female, therefore I am more oppressed. I think to the left, the greatest thing you could possibly be would be a black woman that's a lesbian and disabled, and then you win the Preston Olympics. That's the game, right? That they want everyone to play, right? And what they don't tell you is that if you believe in that, if you become obsessed with victimhood and you attain that crown, you actually win nothing in life. There are no awards for actually being a victim. It just allows them to gain power. It allows them to steal your vote. It allows them to separate you and to divide you and to guarantee that you will react emotionally and not rationally. Right or wrong, Brandon Tatum?
True. I yield my time back.
Do you want to talk about just what we deal with, trying to inspire people and say, we believe in you?
Yeah, I mean, it happened to me at another university. What's scary is that these people are trying to take away your God-given strength and ability to succeed in this country. And I saw it at another university. I'm not going to say the name, but
Ryder.
Just at the
oh,
in
I'm sorry.
New Jersey.
So we had a young lady come up to the front, and she was talking about, her aspirations. And I told her, I said, you can be anything you want to be. All you have to do is pursue excellence, work hard, believe in yourself. You can do it. And they booed me. And they heckled at her. And that's shameful. But that is the tactic of insecure individuals. They're so insecure in their position that they stand politically. They're so insecure in who they are as a person that they feel the need to attack you. And again, I'm preaching that you have to understand that when they attack you, you have to stand up for yourself. Because you have the logic, you have the understanding, you're rooted in facts, you're rooted in the understanding that what we have been promoting and pushing is what's right. Not only right to you, but it's what's right for this country.
And one of my favorite stories was when Candace and I went to UCLA last year.
And survived. That's my favorite part of the story.
I will give the University of Missouri a lot of credit. You guys are much calmer and better behaved than UCLA. So congratulations, okay? But it was a mess. It was a total mess. And there was protests and screaming and outbursts. And
somebody was playing Beyonce music loud outside of the door to drown out our voices. So we just had to hear.
There was a group of Black Lives Matter protesters. And Candace has been, I think, rather opinionated towards Black Lives Matter. I think this campus has some history with Black Lives Matter. But anyway, they were heckling no matter what Candace would say. they would heckle. So, if Candace says, I love oxygen, they of course go, oh, no matter what it would possibly be. And Candace was talking about a message of self-empowerment and individual initiative and entrepreneurship and believing in yourself. And so this one guy gets up to the microphone and calls Candace these horrible names. So Candace repeats herself. She says, no, I believe in you. I think that if you work hard, you can achieve to be something better tomorrow than you are today. And I want to create that America. And again, this young man was programmed to oppose no matter what Candace said. He said, no, stop it. And so Candace said, okay, fine, I don't believe in you. Thank you. It's like, wait a second, what?
And this is the modern left. And here's what I'll say. I've done a good job of trying to actually build a bridge now. There's enough political polarization, and where we can build bridges, we should. And if you've seen my show, you know that I had Hawk Newsome, who is the chairman of Black Lives Matter in New York, and we had a whole discussion. And then here's my stance on it. If Black Lives really do matter, then why aren't they going after Planned Parenthood? Why? Thank you. I had a really productive conversation with the Black Lives Matter chapter at UPenn 2 weeks ago, and it was really amazing because they showed up thinking that I was anti-black because, I don't know, they read EliteDaily.com or something weird. And I get to speaking and I say, you're focusing on 16 unarmed, or about 16, it's actually decreased since 2016, unarmed black men that have been shot and killed by police officers. You have a higher chance as a black person of being struck by lightning. White people, white men and Hispanic men are more likely to be shot and killed by a police officer than any black man, right? Could you imagine if you refocused your energy on the 17, 18 million black babies that have been aborted since 1973, the 900 black babies that are aborted every single day? And I've said this before, and I will say it again. If Black Lives Matter changed their initiative to black babies, if they changed their initiative to talking about what's happening in New York with 9-month abortions, I would put on a BLM t-shirt tomorrow. That is the truth. We should be focusing on the horrendous nature of Planned Parenthood.
And the abortion rate is actually higher than the birth rate in New York City.
It's a literal genocide. It's a literal genocide under the definition of United Nations. A literal genocide is encouraging people, is stopping the birth rate, right? When you talk about the fact that people want to focus on white nationalism and white supremacy, right? I think there was approximately 3,500 black people that have been killed by the KKK and the civil rights era, 3,500. We're talking millions of black babies that have been aborted. And that gets no airtime. Why? Because progressives love Planned Parenthood. Liberals love Planned Parenthood. The Democrats love Planned Parenthood. It should be defunded. I am the biggest advocate for defunding Planned Parenthood.
Want to comment on that, Brian?
Yeah, and I think in addition to the Planned Parenthood issue, I think that we need to start taking more responsibility in our community. I get sick and tired of, I grew up in the hood, I get sick and tired of when we see things that go wrong, we point the finger at the white man. So it's time to stop that. It's time to look in the mirror. Because no matter what color you are, the person in the mirror is the person that's going to project your future. Are you willing to work hard enough? Are you willing to do the things that are necessary to succeed? People wouldn't be having abortions at these crazy rates in the black community if people would take responsibility. Before you lay up with somebody, if you're not prepared to be a father or a mother, then you need to watch what you're doing. You need to protect yourself. And I'll add this, and I have to preface it because some people look at me crazy. I tell people that I'm pro-life and I'm pro-choice, and this is why. Life starts at conception. I'm pro-life. Y'all can give a round of applause. And I honestly believe that your choice happened in the bedroom, not at the clinic. Take responsibility for your actions. And that's all I have to say on that.
Right, and we talk a lot about this too. So there's a second thing that I hate. If I had two big initiatives, it would be the first thing obviously would be to transform Black America, because I think we've been sorely miseducated. I started as a liberal, he started as a liberal, and we finally feel like we're awake to the nonsense that is happening in our community and where the cancer is really coming from, which is liberals and their policies, right? The second initiative is I would love to destroy radical feminism, okay? That's We are in the midst of a society that is trying to turn women into men and men into women. If there is anybody wearing a feminism is for everybody shirt that is a man, I would like you to reconsider what's actually happening. What they are trying to do is break down the family unit by destroying roles, okay? If you want to know what happens when you break down the family unit, look no further than the black community. The father absence rate when my grandfather was growing up in the 1960s, okay, and the 1940s was 23%. Today, the single motherhood rate in the black community is astoundingly 77%, okay? They're not talking about that though, right? White supremacy, we have to be afraid of white supremacy. No, we have to be afraid of the fact that you intentionally incentivize policies that removed the father from the home, and you are trying to spread that far and wide in American society right now. And can I just add that I love masculinity. It's not toxic. Society is driven by strong men and strong women. We need strong male figures. Having a strong male figure in my grandfather growing up is what saved me. It is what saved me from liberalism. A strong male figure. We have to fight to defend men. And ladies, it's on us. This battle is on us.
In one of the fights that we were very involved in, that your former United States Senator was on the wrong side of, was the former U.S. Senator. It's okay, all mistakes can be corrected. That's what Novembers are for. Was the Brett Kavanaugh fight, where 30-year-old baseless accusations with evidence that changes by the hour, with no time, no place, no corroborating witnesses, no one that has ever heard this story before, should destabilize and ruin an honorable person's life. And Candace was unbelievably courageous and important in that fight, because I felt it was not just a war on Brett Kavanaugh, but it was a war on due process, it was a war on decency, it was a war on respect. And the left, we will never forget Brett Kavanaugh and what they made him and his family go through. This is who the left has become.
You know, I have to say, my favorite part of the Brett Kavanaugh hearing was the buses of white women in pussy hats that came, you know, and they went around and they would say on social media, they'd at me and say, how could you, as a black woman, you need to be out there defending this. You need to be out there defending against angry white men, as they like to depict anybody who's straight and male and is Caucasian. Angry white males, right? And I said, how stupid do you think I am? You think I don't know my own history? Do you think this is exactly what got my ancestors lynched? Just believe women with no due process, no facts? We already tried that in the civil rights era. I don't want to believe women. I don't want to believe men. I want to believe facts. And there were zero during that case. Right, Brandon?
That's right. With my country accent, like AOC.
Yeah.
Well, so, hold on.
I love it.
Well, now that we're on the topic about clueless members of Congress, constantly wrong but never in doubt, the greatest overpromotion in American history, for all the bartenders out there, you can be clueless and in power sometime soon as well. My goodness, I have a question. Has she figured out how many branches of government there are?
I'm not sure. I think she may have figured it out. My favorite AOC quote is that the unemployment rate is so low because everybody has 2 jobs. Like, really?
This is true. This is a lawmaker.
Right. It's astounding. And of course, the moment that I realized that people should, I really could connect to her when she gave that black sense, you know? Normally, I'm
Did
black.
you see this, by the way?
Right? What? Did you guys see this? I mean, she just suddenly turned into, ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm like, first and foremost, black people speak English, AOC. Really, you don't need to do a southern drawl. Nobody in my family speaks like that. We speak proper English. You don't need to, then my favorite is when she goes, I always speak like that. Really?
Well, you weren't saying like every other word, so no, you don't always talk like that. Like climate change, like going to end like the world in like 12 years.
Yeah, I forgot about that. The world's ending in 12 years. I don't know what you guys are doing here. Go have some fun, am I right?
We got a lot of cows to kill, right? Kill the cows.
Farting cows are really a problem. Have you ever been around a cow fart? It's bad.
Well, don't worry. Now we have Pocahontas to save us, right? So, you know, it's only April, and the gifts just keep coming.
Right, right. I mean, just a disaster from start to finish, but I appreciate her. I think that she's effectively splintering the Democrat Party. We talked a little about this between the socialists and the people that are more moderate, and I think the people that are more moderate are going to come over to the conservative side because that is just plain crazy.
And people aren't realizing everything that the clowns are doing when they pile in the clown car and they running for office and doing all this crazy stuff. It's detracting. It's making people walk away. I was in the car with one of my Uber drivers, and he said he had enough of the Democratic Party. No longer are they the same way they used to be. They're now far left and radical. And I think that what they're doing is really hurting them and is acting against them.
Well, and so, Candace, maybe you can help me out on this. I'm trying to figure out what constituency is marching in the streets to make sure that Boston bomber terrorists can vote. I mean, this one really, I mean...
That's a new one. That's this week's gem, right?
Yeah, so, so maybe we should have Sanders 2020. So a terrorist has the same voice that you do. No, seriously, this is what he's advocating for, that Boston bomber terrorists can now vote.
Right, and the argument is that it's one of their fundamental rights. Okay, so is the entire Constitution, so should we give them the Second Amendment rights and arm them?
Thermonuclear weapons for Boston bomber
this is a really
too?
slippery slope here if we're just going to start restoring all of their rights.
Of course, so when you commit an act of terrorism, you don't have the right of movement because you have to be in a sedentary cell most of the day. You don't have the right to free expression. You can't assemble outside of a Capitol building. When you commit acts of terrorism, we have agreed in our society there are certain things that you lose. One of those is being able to participate in an election. You know, when you try to murder people publicly at a marathon while inciting violence, maybe you shouldn't have the same voice and the same vote as people you are trying to kill.
Gonna have to agree with that.
And I'll say this, I'll add to this. I think he really, made a lot of law enforcement personnel very mad when he said that. There's a reason why you go to jail and you lose certain rights, period. You should not be able to if you kill another person, you have just eliminated their right to vote. You just have eliminated plenty of rights that they would have had in the future. There's no way in the world that it's acceptable for you to end up receiving those rights just because the Democrats want to win elections, period.
Now let's talk about one of the other things they're running on, my favorite, reparations, right? All right, let's talk about that, right?
You got it.
Let's just really, okay? So
this is the best take.
This is amazing to me because what I say all the time when I go around and I speak and I speak to the black community is just pay attention to how stupid the left thinks the black community is. That this is the most important, insulting thing in the entire world. I mean, Hillary Clinton with the hot sauce in her bag was pretty bad. AOC with the black scent was pretty bad, right? They have literally for the last decade been saying that we cannot fight for voter ID laws because fundamentally black people won't be able to vote because we're too stupid, I guess, to figure out how to get ID. Can't do anything in society without ID, but somehow black people will no longer be able to vote if we have voter ID laws. We can't figure out how to get that done, right? But somehow with reparations, they think we're going to be able to find the paperwork, our ancestral paperwork dating back to slavery to prove that we were in fact slaves. It's the hypocrisy, the astounding hypocrisy of the left. It always amazes me. They outdo themselves. It's an Olympic sprint every time. I say they can't get more insulting than that. And here they go. Reparations. Just saying. We might have to dig up a lot of paperwork to do that. So maybe we can get voter ID, and we should have voter ID because who is being harmed? Illegals are voting, and who is the number one group that is negatively impacted by illegals? Black America. So when Trump says build the wall, I say build it. I will be the first one down there laying bricks.
And here's my curiosity when it comes to reparations. So what happens if you're mixed race? Do you somehow have to pay yourself reparations? And for those of you who don't know, my son is biracial. So is his mama gonna pay me reparations? Send me that check ASAP.
It's so absurd and it's so insulting. And what would it really amount to if they actually did it? And they didn't even say they're going to do it. They were like, let's have a full-throated conversation, whatever that even means, Elizabeth Warren, a full-throated conversation about reparations, which means they're going to assemble some committees and talk about it, and it's never going to happen because that's what they do every election cycle. The black community gets promised a bunch of stuff, and we don't get it. And then another 4 years comes, and we get promised a bunch of stuff, and we don't get it. It is time to get off of this hamster wheel. It is time for Americans to realize that they have grown radical, that they have no interest in repairing anything whatsoever. They are only after power. That is it. And they think that Trump took it from them, and they will do anything, they will say anything, they will put on any accent to regain it.
And there is one exception to that, Candace. There's one president that has delivered for black America, the one that we have right now. The lowest ever black unemployment rate, the lowest ever black poverty rate, 5 million people off of food stamps, predominantly in the black community, opportunity zones, urban revitalization, prison reform, what the Democrats pretend that they always champion, and they haven't even got close to.
Solving the crisis at the border to make sure that they don't come in and take our jobs. And that is, it is so important that people realize, here's what I love. You know, I say all the time, I support the president for a lot of reasons. I've been in the room with him, I've met him a few times, and let me tell you something. He speaks the same way behind closed doors as he speaks on camera. People always ask me, what is he like? He's exactly as he is when you see him on TV, and that's why America likes him, because he is selling authenticity. Sometimes what he says might make people uncomfortable, but he is telling you exactly what he thinks. Promises that he said he was going to do, he's actually keeping. And just could you imagine, let's just all close our eyes and imagine, if Trump went into a black crowd and said, y'all, ain't nothing wrong with that, the media would be up in arms. And they fundamentally gave AOC a pass for pandering. Trump doesn't pander. He didn't offer hot sauce. He wasn't on the Breakfast Club, right? I'm sure he likes hot sauce. I really am sure. But he didn't offer a hot sauce. He's talking about real issues. He asked the most important question, which led to my political awakening, which was, Black America, what do you have to lose? We were already losing. We had nothing to lose. America was already losing. We had nothing to lose. It was the greatest gamble that we took, and we are seeing that we are winning. We are getting America back.
And let's not forget how awesome it was at the Young Black Leadership Summit last year when 400 black leaders from all over the country went to the White House. That was amazing. I'll tell you this, the president and the administration treated us like kings and queens. They rolled out the red carpet for us. Some of those young people had never been on an airplane before. Some of them didn't even have clothes to wear. They had to borrow clothes to have some nice clothes to wear to the White House. And you're going to sit here and tell me that this is a racist president and a racist administration. You must be crazy. You must be crazy.
And Candace hit it so perfectly. He's the first president in American history to be attacked for doing what he said he's going to do. At every turn, every day, he delivers on promises that he made to the American people. We have become so programmed and so expectant that who we put in office is going to do something different than what they say. Our whole life we're told that politicians will lie to us. But when someone actually goes into office and actually moves the embassy to Jerusalem and cancels the Iran deal and deregulates the economy and puts Gorsuch on the Supreme Court and Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court and cuts taxes and makes us energy independent and signs prison reform and puts forth urban revitalization and has the best economy in American history with the lowest ever black, Latino, Hispanic, women, disabled, and youth unemployment in American history, hits 4% GDP growth that the media said is impossible, we say there's no way this could possibly happen because I thought he was going to do what every other president in my lifetime has done, which is say one thing and do another. And at every turn, we have a promise keeper in chief. And if you ask me, that's the most moral, ethical thing that a president could possibly do, is keeping his promises to the very people that put him in office. Do you agree?
I
Agree, Brandon?
I agree.
And I just want to also touch on what it is that we fight for here at Turning Point USA, because you'll see the signs that we believe in really simply in free markets and letting the markets decide. And it's such a simple concept, but it is the greatest deliverer of economic justice, how hard you work, how great your ideas are. That's how people should be rewarded, on a merit-based system of their ideas, and let the markets decide what's right and what's wrong. This is the message that I'm trying to deliver to the black community, right? We know socialism doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work. 100 million people have been killed over the last 100 years. And you have leftists saying, well, let's just try it in America. It'll be a little different. We'll just move it a little bit, tiny bit different. No, it's always the same. It's always a disaster. They're not fleeing Venezuela to come to America because socialism is great. It's the opposite. Go speak to Cuban Americans about socialism. Go speak to Venezuelan Americans about socialism. They think we're insane. Insane for even talking about it in a country that they believe is so great. And I ask myself all the time, why does the left hate America? People say, oh, you can't say that. That's not fair. You're painting a broad stroke. Well, name me one leftist politician that has said anything positive about America in the last 4 years. You can't find them. You can't find them. They're hostile towards our values. They're hostile. They want to divide. They want to turn America into a different country and a different place. And we have to fight to protect everything that America is. There is a reason why everyone wants to get into this country. If you were born in America, pat yourself on the back because you already won the lottery.